Hello everyone, welcome to tonight's Rolling with a Crony stream. Um, so I did plan to have quite a serious conversation tonight, and everyone seems more interested in my stories this week, so I will try and go through a little bit of everything. Um, if anyone can sort of confirm at some point. Oh, there we go. Right, sorry guys. Having a few sound issues then. Right, so welcome to Rolling with a Crony stream. Obviously, tonight I did plan to go through something a little bit more serious, but I think everyone's more interested in the drama that sort of unfolded over the week, which, if people want to bring up at some point, obviously we can go into. Um, so welcome to the stream. Anyone who hasn't been before, we mainly talk about IBD, which is bowel disease. As you can see, I've put my Crohn's and colitis t-shirt up in the background, and we've got my little light. And today I was going to go over some hair issues because that seems to be coming up quite a lot. So I've actually put some of the products out over here. So obviously, most people know me as RT66Sam for my streams and obviously my Instagram page. But I do actually have a life outside of gaming and streaming, I guess. So in my actual day-to-day career, I do actually own a hairdresser's. I opened it back when I was about 22, and I am actually 29 this year. So my salon is nearly 6 years old. And yeah, I guess so basically it's very small sort of salon, but I do have staff that obviously I employ. They're an amazing team. And I'm not a trigologist in any shape or form, but obviously I am a nerd, which is why I've got all like my Daddy Mando and like my gaming stuff. And yeah, so always been a bit of a science nerd, mainly physics actually, but obviously hair's more like, well, it is biology, but um I just thought it might be worth sharing some stuff to people who are probably struggling with their hair, because it's quite a recurring theme when you ask people with IBD what are they suffering with, and any autoimmune illness actually, but joints, hair, skin always seem to keep cropping up, and then obviously mental health I think is a massive impact for anyone these days, especially with COVID. But yeah, so the whole point of tonight's stream is obviously if you have any questions you want to ask, whether it be to do with hair. I'm not the best person to speak to about skin, not gonna lie. I'm in the process of trying to look after my own and it's not going well. Um, if you've got questions just in general you want to ask me about my IBD or other health issues I've got, or gaming or my setup or anything you can think of, or if you want to bring up the whole drama issue that went on my story the other day, obviously anything at all, ask away. No questions too stupid or whatever. I honestly don't mind. I do just want to take a minute to say that the person I was meant to be interviewing this week, T, bless her, wasn't very well, and it didn't feel right to bring someone else on in her place, especially because chances are it's IBD related, and I think it's important to sort of put across, I guess, the fact that IBD just sort of hits, there's nothing we can really do. And yeah, like she was really excited about coming on, and unfortunately, her health just got the better of her. And yeah, like I say, there'll be weeks where potentially, hopefully, touch wood, there isn't, but there will always be weeks where I'm thinking, oh my god, I'm flaring and I really want to do my stream and it might not be possible. So yeah, so like I say, it is what it is. So it didn't feel right to replace us for this evening. So I wanted to make a point of saying that it was going to happen at some point that someone had an IBD health related issue that had to come first. And obviously I want to wish her all the best, and because I know she was not in the like, yeah, bless her. But yeah, so anyway, going back to tonight's stream, that's sort of the topics we're going to be covering. If obviously, like I say, you want to ask anything other than that, go for it. I honestly don't mind. Obviously, the follower count, we're trying to get to 150. It's currently at 116. So if you are new to the stream or liking what you're hearing, then please do subscribe. Follow rather. If you want to subscribe, feel free. But these streams are free. I'd much rather you donate to Crohn's and colitis. In fact, obviously, I've got my Tiltify page. I can put that in a bit. But it's not about making money. It's about raising awareness, really. So yeah. So let's get started, I guess. So do we go with Nioxin or olaplex first? That's the question. I think if we cover olaplex first, because Nioxin's a little bit more in depth, but I am just going to sort of go potentially a little bit about obviously gut health. This is sort of going to come into play with any autoimmune illness, but especially with your gut as well. So, if anyone does watch the stream tonight and they don't have IBD, but say for instance they have diabetes, thyroid issues, um, yeah, I think they're like the main ones. But any form of even like things like anemia or anything that don't have to directly be related to IBD, you are probably gonna have issues along the way at some point with your hair. I think most health issues at some point are gonna sort of show some sign in your hair, because your hair is usually one of the first things to be affected. Um, and yeah, I do want to once again clear up. I am a hairdresser. I'm not a trigologist. I have done Nioxin training and Olaplex training with the companies themselves. I'm not asking you to come and buy direct from me. The only thing I would say is please don't go and buy fakes and like get them off Amazon. But as long as you're going to a reputable source, honestly, go do it. I'm not trying to get a money making thing going. I literally just want to help people who are tearing the hair out, quite literally, over the hair. So yeah, so if we start to actually look first at actually how hair works, that's probably going to help the best. So your hair does actually have like a sort of cycle phase, I guess. So like a tree, it'll flower in the spring, summer, and then obviously towards the winter all the leaves drop off, and then it'll start again on a new season cycle. Your hair is absolutely no different, and I think terminologies like that help to understand a little bit better about how the hair actually does work. So as you can see on my screen, I've tried to sort of break it down a little bit. I did actually take this from the internet. I thought, well, to sort of break down the rough idea of the timing that this sort of stuff takes. So in stage one is an anagen stage, which is growth phase, and it'll say here, nourishment of hair follicle via blood supply enables hair growth. And then you go into, I can never pronounce this one, catagen transition phase, where hair follicles detach from the nourishing blood supply. And then it'll go into telogen phase, which is resting phase. Without nourishment, the hair dies and falls out. And just to give you a rough idea of the life cycle of this, anagen phase for this is per hair, so not all of your head on it, because you probably watching thinking, oh my god, does that mean all my hair falls out in one stage? No. What it means is this is the life cycle of one strand of hair. So an anagen stage is 3 to 5 years roughly. So but that'll be about 88-90% of the overall hair on your head will be in that stage at the minute. And then it'll go through the catagen stage, which is about 4 weeks, which is roughly about 2% of your hair. And then there's telogen stage is about 3 to 4 months. That's probably about 10% of your hair. So, and then it'll go back around to anagen basically. So, at any point you'll have, especially if anyone's watching who has colour, you'll notice that sometimes you have hairs that almost, especially if you're blonde and you've got dark hair, it'll look like you've almost got a grey hair. It's probably not. It's probably the hair that is somewhat resting. So it'll look almost like the hair, you'll get the odd hair that's still the colour you've put on your head amongst the roots. It's just that basically that's probably the hair that's currently in rest period. So it probably gives it away a little bit more. Like if you're someone like me, let's take my headset off. Um, if your hair's quite dark compared to the colour you're wearing, or vice versa, you're going to notice it more. Hello, Dan. Thank you for coming and watching and feeling sorry for me. Yeah, so it just gives you a bit of an idea what's actually happening with the hair. In terms of hair loss, a lot of people that come into the salon think they're losing their hair and they aren't. So the first thing I would always do is have a look to see what's actually going on by their scalp, and usually it's more predominant usually in women who are probably used to having short hair and now all of a sudden they've grown it. So the average head of hair sheds about 100 hairs a day. If you've got more than an average head of hair, you could be losing 200 if you've got a lot of hair, and it still be pretty normal. And if you've got less than average, then you're probably looking a little bit less. But as a ballpark, about 100 hairs a day is pretty normal. If you wear your hair up a lot, that hair will shed. It will stick in your ponytail. You'll go in the shower, and as you wash your hair and condition it, all the hair that was stuck in your ponytail will now release out down the shower plug, and you'll think, oh my god, I'm losing my hair. And in actual fact, it was trapped in the hair bubble, you've took it down, and all of a sudden you've watched it come out. And if your hair is only like this long and it wraps up in the plug, 100 hairs doesn't look that bad. But if your hair's this long and 100 hairs wraps up in the plug, it looks like a lot more hair. So if you're someone who's got mega ton of hair and it's mega long, then of course it's going to look far worse than that plug, and you're going to have far more drainage problems than a guy who's probably got hair that's that long. And if anything, he's going to spot it first because you can see the scalp much easier when the hair's shorter than someone who's, say for example, I mean, half this hair isn't mine, but compared to someone like me, I'd have to have a bit of a rummage to actually find gaps. You can obviously get a friend or family to have a look, see if you've got any gaps, because things like alopecia are going to look more obvious. Um, but that's not to say you won't have little gaps. So, firstly, some of the people watching might think they have hair loss problems and they might not, or they might have hair breakage problems, and it sort of comes down to when the hair is shedding. For instance, on my hair now, if it was shedding from the root, I'd have the dark part of my natural colour against the blonde, so therefore it'd be quite obvious that it's coming out direct from the scalp. Where if I'm only having like blonde hairs that long come out, then I know it's probably breakage. Um, Obviously, all this sort of stuff, if you're going to a salon, a good salon's going to go through all this with you, especially if you mention that hair loss, you're a bit concerned. If they turn around and start umming and ahhing and going, oh, I don't know, find another salon, because you need a salon that's actually going to listen and knows about hair loss. And unfortunately, there seems to be a lot of colour specialists or cutting specialists, but no one really seems to have that many specialists in hair loss. So if you can find a salon that probably sells something like Nioxin, hopefully at least one person there is going to be really trained. If not, honestly, if you've got any hair loss concerns and they seem to be umming and ahhing, go somewhere else. Honestly, you need the best advice going. And whilst, like I say, a hairdresser isn't a trigologist, they are still meant to be a hair professional, so they should have decent background on a lot of stuff. Um, so I'm just going to sort of switch over to we'll go over to the genetics one actually first. So I've actually pulled this up from the Nioxin website. I did debate making a PowerPoint, but I must admit these websites are really, really good, and they sort of cover what I was going to go over anyway. It's just that I can probably put it down into more bite-sized chunks, I guess. Nioxin is actually, whether it still is, but was the only hair care company that is actually endorsed by the Institute of Trigologists for actually working. So a lot of the hair loss products you probably buying They might work, but they've not got any form of guarantee on them. Like they could just be selling you a very expensive shampoo. Um, how powerful Nioxin is will depend very much on your circumstance. So, um, obviously here where it says can hair loss be caused by genetics, um, yes it can, and areas like that get very sketchy of whether they're going to actually help you. Um, so obviously for a guy, the more likely part of where he will lose his hair is always more so around the hairline and then on the crown. Obviously, feel free to go through and read this all in as much detail as you want to. But for a guy, if you are concerned about hair loss, they're usually the two main places. And for a woman, it's usually down her parting and round the hairline. Eventually, it might go back towards the crown area, but it's generally for a woman very much on the front and in the most visible places. Whereas guys tend to eventually meet in the middle, whereas girls generally it'll go a bit back. So this sort of does cover whether it's going to help you or not, and it does clearly say that it won't cure genetic hair loss. So um, the way in which Nioxin sort of works is going back to that growth cycle. If the hair is asleep, it's going to wake it back up. If the follicle is gone, it ain't waking anything up. So if you've got a tree and it's hibernating because it's winter, say, I don't know if that's the right terminology, it's not going to wake back up. Sorry, it is You can wake it back up if it's sort of just asleep. You can go wakey wakey, let's get you moving. If that tree's dead as a dodo, it's dead as a dodo. At that point, your only real options is more like hair transplants, or you can quite an interesting system now is people may or may not have seen them, but you can actually have the partial toupees that probably not the nicest of words, but effectively a semi-permanent sort of toupee, so you can go to sleep with it on. I'm not sure if they do. I'm assuming they'll do these for women because I know they're quite popular because it's almost like wearing a lace wig that you can go to bed in and then just have it removed. The videos on that are very interesting. I don't know what the official name is for that, but it's definitely something that I absolutely think is fascinating to watch. And also, if you're someone with quite short hair, so it's probably more popular in men, there is a process where it's almost like a tattoo needle. We'll put individual hairs, not actually hairs, but it'll look like hairs going in. So it'll almost shade the area. You can also look at things like sprinkles and fibres that are going to attach onto the hair that's already there to make it look darker and thicker and fuller. You can still use those even with like finer hair or hair that's shedding or anything like that. They're just a couple of cosmetic ones. This is going more, I guess, from if IBD is just your only issue. If you're someone who has IBD and genetic male pattern baldness, you can ease it off a little bit maybe with the IBD, but you can't grow hair that the follicles have gone. It doesn't happen. So unfortunately, I think I've only ever had to have one person in my salon where when I've had a look at their scalp I have like a microscope camera, I can actually look at their scalp. There's only ever been one person so far where the follicles are just like totally sealed over. There's not even any signs that them follicles are, they're just totally smoothed out. And I was just like, honestly, save your money. Nothing anyone says or does is going to actually help at this point. And it's not a very nice conversation to have because it obviously most people are very conscious of losing hair or thinning or breakage, especially having a sit down face to face conversation. I suppose this is quite nice because I'm behind a computer. But yeah, so those aren't very nice conversations to have. But at the same time, someone could be losing a lot of money. Hello, Poppy. A lot of people could be losing money by effectively not getting the right information because they keep buying products that are just never going to work because the follicles have gone. So yeah, Poppy, you missed me going through my little cycle phase, if you remember from college. So yeah, so like I say, not a trigologist, just a hairdresser. I do understand quite a bit about hair loss, probably a little bit more than the average hairdresser, not to blow my own trumpet, but like I say, bit of a science nerd. The Nioxin website's pretty good if anyone does want to go and have a look at a later date. It's nioxin.com. And not trying to be a sales gimmick or anything, but if you do buy it, just make sure you're buying it from a reputable source. So uh, this is perfect going through for people with IBD because it actually does go through gut health and hair loss. This will technically be relevant to absolutely anyone because at the end of the day, we all eat. Just some of us eat healthier and cleaner and better than others. Um, so yeah, so it does go through different factors. I think the main one with IBD is the fact that you're not absorbing nutrients even if you're eating them. You're struggling probably to eat more healthier food, so you're probably eating a lot more processed food. And then you're probably having a lot of, at times, like mental health sort of, because it does take its toll. And potentially a lot of stress as well if you've got lots of appointments and not knowing how an operation's going to do. So there's quite a few things going on, and that's not even allowing for if you've got other autoimmune or other health issues going on. Because if you've got a thyroid or you're diabetic, plus you've got IBD, you've got a bit of a double whammy going on. And then if you find out it's genetics as well, you've got quite a lot going for you, that's going to struggle. It's also important to know when we talk about genetics with hair loss, it's not just coming from your dad and your granddad, it's coming from the whole of your family, whether it be your mother, your father, your granddad, your great great nan. It's your genetics, so it's not like, I don't know, so IBD is only going to get the men in the family, or but it's one of those things that it's probably programmed somewhere in your DNA, I guess. So just be aware that if you're someone whose mum's hair was thinning out or nan's hair or whatever, it still technically could happen either end of the spectrum. Um, so yeah, so this sort of also goes through on the Nioxin about what I've literally just talked about, and same again, it's sort of going through the fact that if you've got problems with the hormones and stuff going on, then you're gonna sort of have problems. And going on to the subject of obviously healthy eating, and it being quite problematic with people with IBD. Obviously, if you're not eating enough vegetables and fibre, you're going to have issues, which are definitely more problematic foods for people with IBD. Alcohol consumption can alter it as well. Um, Obviously, how much of someone being an alcoholic walking around being bald, I'm a little bit like, yeah, it might factor in, but I don't think it would. I don't think you'd come into a salon bald because you're an alcoholic. There'd definitely be other stuff going on, but obviously I'm assuming they're chatting in general about overall good health. Um, Overuse of antibiotics are going to be an issue because obviously they can impact good bacteria as well. And they reckon even sweeteners can also be a bit of an issue. Generally, sweeteners aren't actually the best for the body in general. I remember a personal trainer saying to me that anything that's a little bit more man-made, the body doesn't generally know what to do with. So like monounsaturated fats and stuff like that, the body's just a bit like, don't know what to do with you, don't know how to break you down so you can stick around for life. So technically going and having a Greg's pasty or something with the fats in the pastry is probably actually worse now than going for a McDonald's where it's mainly just the fat in the meat, with the bread and the salad, because they've had to clean their act up quite a lot from years ago, back in the 90s when they were in the news all the time. So yeah, so um, most of you will probably already know from, if you've had IBD, guarantee you already looked at diet. So obviously, once again, you'll hear a lot about probiotics and all that sort of stuff, um, like yogurt and raw milk, cheese, all those sort of things that potentially might be able to help you. So I think the overall message from it is obviously if you don't have a good diet, you're going to have issues. Likewise, if you're struggling for a diet because you can't eat it, you can start to sort of see why people with Crohn's or colitis might actually have a lot of hair issues, whether it be through hair loss or breakage, because the hair's not sort of getting fed, and the body's going to preference vital organs before it looks at your hair and your skin, because at the end of the day, yes, your skin and your hair is designed to protect you, but we also treat it as more like a vanity thing, I guess. So yes, you can start to sort of see where you'd have problems. Um, in terms of obviously what the main causes of hair loss are, most of these people can probably guess anyway. This is quite a good video, by the way, if anyone does want to go and watch it at a later date. Obviously, genetics have just been over. Stress, I think most people know about, like the whole stress hair falling out. And I just want to point out a key point. Most hair loss is not immediate. It could take 3 to 6 months after the stressful episode. So people could actually be losing their hair after they've been stressed. So that's very, very important. And people who go and have babies and they've just come off, say, maternity or what have you, it takes the body roughly about 9 months to start to get back to normal after having a baby, and they will also usually sometimes suffer with a lot of hair loss. It'll grow like rapid during, and then it all sheds out. Obviously, you can also have the opposite side, but generally, most women do say their hair is usually a bit better when they're pregnant. However, that's not everyone. I've known cases where it's been a lot worse. Once again, diet and nutrition. I think firstly, you sort of need to address internally if you can, with things like zinc, iron, biotin, vitamin D, all that sort of stuff. But it's best to sort of, or I say to a lot of my clients, go and get a blood test, see what's going on. Obviously, if you already know about your underlying health issues, it's a bit different. But say you're someone who stumbled across it because you're struggling and you don't actually know what's wrong. If you know full well that it's definitely coming out in clumps and not like I said before, where you just think you're losing them, but it's actually just probably stuck in your ponytail and then you've gone in the shower. If you can clearly see gaps and you don't know of any underlying health issues and you definitely don't think you've been stressed lately, 100% the first port of call is always go and get a blood test before you do anything, because the minute that comes out and says you've got an iron deficiency, straight away you know if potentially if you're putting more iron back into your body, it might actually just correct the issue. If you've got a lot of like deficiencies, obviously that's probably signaling an underlying health issue. Um, but if we just sort of work on the fact that you know what your illness is and we tailor it more to IBD people, you already know that your nutrition's trash because you can't eat half the stuff, and even if you can, your body doesn't know what to do with it. It just chucks it back out. Um, Once again, like I say, pregnancy is coming up here. Thyroid conditions is a bit of a nightmare. Menopause or any form of hormone replacement. Hormone replacement's probably one of the nastiest ones for causing like really knackered, brittle hair. It's important as well to know that when your hair's really not doing well because of your health, that it will be quite brittle. And also different forms of alopecia. With alopecia, I'd definitely first go to your doctor and find out what sort of shampoos they can put you on first. Um, if they turn around and say the hair's never grown back, please don't believe them, because I have cases where alopecia does come back. It's very much the type of alopecia. There's quite a few different types, but you could literally open a minefield just in that alone. And then environmental factors will come into any person's hair. So that's like the sun, the wind. If you live near a sandy area, that's going to be really abrasive on the hair. Like I say, sun damage, heat damage from your straighteners, all that sort of stuff you've got to be aware of is all going to factor in. So if you're someone like me who's got Crohn's, got other underlying health issues, doesn't eat the right diet because one, I don't necessarily want to all the time, and two, I struggle. Um, Bleach the hell out of my hair, straighten it, etc., etc. Of course, my hair's technically always going to be a little bit knackered because I'm doing quite a lot of stuff to it and it's already not probably in the best place already. So yeah, so it just sort of goes over a little bit, I guess, with what's happening on the science side a little bit. If anyone does have any questions as we go, obviously feel free to ask. Um, so with that in mind of probably roughly what is sort of going on, obviously I'm sure there's plenty of other things behind it. Like I say, I'm not a doctor. But when you just simplify it down like that, it does make a little bit more of like, no wonder I'm a bit buggered on the hair front. It will go through actual hair loss first, and then we'll go through more like strengthening if it's breaking. So the best Nioxin products to try first are actually their system kits, because a lot of places, Weller, who own Nioxin, used to actually do money back guarantees. So if you don't see any improvement, and they used to only do it on the system kits, but I think they now do it on a product called Diet Boost as well. So any of these system kits that you can see in front of me, where it says System 1, System 3, System 5, System 2, System 4, System 6, these are designed for whether you're noticeably thinning or just light thinning. So usually you'd find a salon that's going to sort of tell you which number you are for the best results. Um, 1 and 2 generally fall more towards guys, to be honest, because guys generally aren't as common with colour in their hair. Not that it doesn't happen. So 1 and 2 for guys, it's usually, do you have really bad bald patches, or you're just starting to notice it a bit, and that's quite an easy one to figure out which number you are. Um, 3 and 4 is for like coloured hair. So are you just generally tinting your hair? Can you see a little bit or can you see a lot? And then 5 and 6 is if you're like me and you're bleaching the hell out of it. It needs a lot more moisture in it. If you don't get the right number, you could potentially either be stripping your colour out if you have colour, or you're not getting the correct moisture level for what you need. And the ingredients are slightly tweaked depending on the type of hair. So it is important that you do get the right number. It's very hard sometimes to always say, because I sometimes like to put people with really thick hair, they only colour it on the bleach one because there'll be more moisture. But then likewise, if someone's got really bleached hair but it's very fine, I don't want it to go greasy, so I'm going to move them down one. So it generally is better if you can get a hairdresser who does know about it. But it does give you a bit of an explanatory thing. So if we click on one of these kits just to show you sort of what it looks like. So this is it coming up. I think usually retail wise are about £32.10 for a kit at the minute. They might be a little bit more, a bit less. Please, please, please do not go and buy it off eBay, because I've seen so many fakes, it's unreal, or watered down versions. But yeah, so ideally support your local salons if you can. If you are struggling and you want some advice, you're more than welcome to buy it from myself. But like I say, that's not what I'm doing it for. But yeah, just be careful. There's a lot of dodgy ones on the market. And try not to get old produce because it's cheaper, because shampoo can actually grow and hold bacteria. You shouldn't actually be holding, like, if you got that shampoo at the back of your cupboard that's 4 years old and you've kept it just in case, that is going to itch the shit out of your scalp. Please do not use it. Go and chuck it away. There'll be lots of bacteria on it and you don't want it. Places like TK Maxx, where they're selling a lot of produce a lot cheaper that's in salons, is actually being bought back from down and out countries where basically stockists such as Nioxin can only keep stuff once it's produced for, say, like, I don't know, like 15 months after it's been manufactured. If they don't sell it in that time, they have to get rid of it. So a lot of it does get shipped out to like down and out countries, I guess. And people like TK Maxx go and buy it back and sell it. So that's where it's probably coming from. So yeah, so it's going to sort of talk you through the benefits. So what effectively it's going to do is wake up sleeping hair. The minute you stop using it, hair goes back to sleep. So that's the only sort of downside. Also, you're not going to wake up tomorrow looking like the Hair Bear Bunch. You have got to give it time to work. So what I say is a good ballpoint, 6 to 8 weeks. Have a view in 6 to 8 weeks. even if the hair starts growing back in 6 to 8 weeks and your hair is as long as what my extensions are, it's still probably only going to be like tiny. It's not going to be major hair. So you have got to give these things time. But obviously, if you can get on the correct vitamins to what you need, or the correct food to what you need, and then you start using this, you are going to notice probably a lot of difference, whether you're a guy or a girl or anything in between, I guess. So yeah, so this one's actually the light thinning kit in one, so this would probably be more targeted at, say, someone who's never really coloured their hair and has just noticed a little bit but nothing major. And the kit lids themselves are pretty good. So these are sort of the size bottles on the trial kit, which don't look a lot at all. But I always say to my clients, look at the lid, and it's roughly probably around the size of a 10p piece. That is the amount that you should be using. So, whilst it's a trial kit, Nioxin say it'll last about a month. That's if you're washing every day. So, if you're someone who washes every other day, 2 months. Obviously, if you're washing every day, you might help encourage it quicker. But to be honest, it keeps your scalp quite clean. And if you're someone who only goes once every 4 days, do it once every 4 days, make it last. It's totally fine. It's really not a big issue. So what you would do with the shampoo and the conditioner first is, no, I say conditioner, it's actually a scalp revitalizer. So what that would do is the shampoo goes on first, so a 10p piece, massage it in, give it a few minutes out. If you think you need the second shampoo, then do the same again, a few minutes out. It's going to be like a really fresh minty feeling and leave your scalp really clean. And then what you would do is sort of squeeze out extra moisture if you've got long hair, and then you're going to use the second part, which is a scalp revitalizer, which is same again as the 10p piece, the size of the lid I always recommend because it's easier, you can't go wrong. That is not a conditioner for mid lengths and ends, that is actually designed for your scalp. So that should be going all over your scalp and being massaged in and left for 3 minutes. It's going to feel quite tingling. It's actually quite soothing, especially if you're someone who suffers with migraines. I really recommend going and shampoo and Nioxin. It eases off a migraine quite well. These products are going to encourage blood supply. So some people might be a bit more sensitive than others, so they might get a bit of a like baby pink puffy sort of scalp. That is not anything to worry about, and it's going to go back down. But it is going to, like, because you can almost see the blood supply at the surface, you almost know that it is actually stimulating the scalp. I only actually get it off the number 3 when I use the number 3 on clients. No other number in Nioxin actually does that to me, but that one really does. And about 10-15 minutes later, it just dies back down. It could take up to half an hour, but it is going to die back down. You just know that it is doing what it says it's doing. And yeah, just going back to before, it does actually say about the money back guarantee. Actually, that's usually you have to write directly to Weller. So yeah, so that's why it's probably important actually to buy it from a salon, so they can actually trace it back that you've got it from a reputable person, really. So what it's actually going to do is not only sort of start to get the scalp going, it's also going to help with damage and breakage. So it's going to strengthen the hair. It's going to clear off the scalp to give it a much cleaner surface to grow through, because if you've ever had a weed try to grow through concrete, it might get there eventually, but it's going to struggle. So if there's a lot of, like, say, broken skin and build up, so someone, if you say to suffer with a lot of dandruff, it's now got to try and force through all that sort of blockage, I guess. So it's going to keep the scalp nice and clean, and it's going to make it feel a bit thicker and fuller as well. Once you've put that step 2 on, which is going on your scalp, if you're someone with a lot of hair or long hair, you're probably still going to want a conditioner on mid lengths and ends. That's usually where I'd probably start to go more into the olaplex. But if you've got a conditioner you really love, I guess you could use that. If you're a guy, chances are you probably, or to be fair, it's mainly guys that generally have super short hair, but even women, to be honest. you're probably not going to need anything on there. So if your hair's like shaved, then you're probably not really going to need to worry. If you've got hair that's like a bob or jaw length, I'd probably still say, even if it's just once a week, you probably need to be getting some moisture on those ends, to be honest. And then the third part I don't actually have, because I actually gave it to my dad because he'd run out of his. On here it's a spray, but sometimes it's actually a mousse. So you'd either do 3 pumps of your mousse or a couple of pumps of your spray. You can either spray that in sections onto the scalp. I personally prefer to pump it into my hand, spread it out, and then make sure you get it all in the scalp even. You don't want loads of that because it will actually stiffen your hair if you're not careful. So about 3 pumps of that, massage it all into your scalp, really massage it in, and that's going to probably be the strongest component. So if you're forgetting it, you're forgetting the strongest part. So definitely make sure that you're using that bit here is always going to be the strongest. So depending on which one you use, which number, if I go back and show you, you'll see that, bear with me, progress thinning in the exact same number will come as a mousse. So the reason why it's a difference between a spray and a mousse is they reckon that it's easier to get a mousse on to progress thinning. So if you've got a lot of bald patches, it's better to get a mousse in there. Whereas if you've only got a little bit, it's probably better just with a bit of spray just to get in. So that's the only reason that they're different, is that they decided that it was a better way to get it on. All of those numbers are all effectively going to do the same thing. It's just very much tailored to what hair you've actually got. I would usually say to someone, try it for 6 to 8 weeks, see how you're getting on, because if it's not working, don't waste your money on the rest of the products. If it's doing well, then obviously continue on it, and then there's other products you can go on to. They have brought out a lot more products since I last did my training, but the main ones I think are significant are obviously the system kits. Also, they have brought out hair supplements now. I haven't tried them, so I couldn't comment. They're probably been in the last year or so. I don't tend to use the hairstyling either. I just tend to use, let's have a look. I think it'll be leave-ins, I'm guessing. Yeah, it is. So, this is the conditioner they recommend for the ends if you've got a lot of hair. You can use it, it's very nice. I generally think it's better on really broken hair, but I would still probably preference Olaplex conditioner. So the main ones I would say on here to look at first is, if you're losing a lot of hair, look at the hair booster. This is targeted, so it's almost like the little spray in the kits I just showed you, but a more intense version. They are more expensive. I think depending on the size, you're looking anything from like 40 to nearly 60 quid. I've had mine open for quite a while, and to be honest, it would probably go off before you can finish it. What that does is it's like a stronger version, so it's going to really like boost it and get it going. It's brilliant round crowns, partings, and hairlines where you're getting the most. I probably wouldn't waste it if you don't need it, so only put it on your main targeted areas. And I would only say waste your money if the other stuff has so far been successful. So that's sort of showing you in which way you sort of use it. Same again, don't need a lot. And then this one's probably a bit more cosmetic. So this is actually going to swell the hair follicles and give it a lot more boost. This is incredible. People that don't get body and it falls flat get body off this. In fact, someone I know has quite short hair now, and even then they still couldn't get any boost in it. And I used this and she had volume for 3 days and her hair is flat as a pancake usually. So yeah, this helps more from, I guess, like I say, a cosmetic point of view of getting the hair thicker and fuller. So that's sort of the main ones I would look at to begin with. Like I say, I wouldn't waste your money on any of the others until you actually know it's working. If you're someone with extensions like me, I would definitely speak to your hairdresser first. I've got tape-ins that Poppy's kindly put in for me and absolutely love them. So it's making my hair look a lot better than it probably actually is. because I am getting quite a bit around my fringe. Mine has always been mainly my obviously iron problems with anemia, and then obviously I've got Crohn's. So yeah, so it just gives you, like I say, a little bit of a thing. If you're someone watching and you don't have IBD, or you have a specific sort of health issue or scenario, guarantee if you type your health issue or whatever it is in, um, and look for reviews with someone with the same health problems as you, guarantee you're going to find out if it's probably actually going to work before you even use it. So I say to people, if you want to go and read reviews first, no pressure, go and do it. Don't ever really guarantee that it is or isn't going to work, because there could be a lot of stuff going on that I don't know about. I don't know their family history. All I know is what's in front of me and what they're sort of telling me that they even know about, because there'll be plenty of stuff they won't know. So yeah, so like I say, it's definitely worth a try if it's only really IBD, stress, anemia, that sort of stuff. Definitely, we highly recommend. It's been very successful with a lot of my clients who have thyroid issues, diabetes, that sort of stuff, and see how you get on. The other one that I want to go over to is actually, if bear with me, we'll go on to this one, is actually olaplex. So olaplex actually works very different, but I've noticed it is becoming more and more popular mentioned with people with IBD. It doesn't help hair loss. I've noticed a few people have been saying about it helping hair loss. It doesn't help hair loss. It's there for breakage. So if you're someone who's suffering with hair loss and breakage, both combined together are going to be amazing. You're going to notice a lot of difference. If you use Olaplex expecting that you're going to get a full head of hair again, it ain't going to happen, because it's only fixing the hairs that's there. And if it ain't there, it ain't fixing anything. So yeah, so depending on your needs, I'm someone who uses both because I get both issues. Then yeah, you're definitely going to notice an improvement. That, along with diet, will honestly be a lot better. You're still probably always going to have issues, but it's worth sort of. It's always going to be better on this stuff than not on it. Put it that way. So, um, the interesting story about how Olaplex was actually created is that a guy in California was actually looking for a product to put on his hair. He was a surfboarder there, and he was finding that all the sea salt and everything was breaking all his hair off, and he wanted a product that was going to keep his hair nice while he surfed, maybe something he could put on whilst in the sea. um, and he almost bankrupted his family in the process of finding um, the solution. And as a last resort, the family found, I think he was some sort of doctoral scientist, and they explained the scenario. And he was like, "Oh, that sounds a bit too easy. Can you come with me with a bigger problem?" And a lot of the people in his family were either, I think the mom was to do with makeup and the guy was a hairdresser, or vice versa. And effectively they said, if you can stop the hair from snapping during a bleaching service, then effectively, like, you'll have solved the biggest hairdressing dilemma in the world, because 80s bleaching is not the same as 20s bleaching, like 2020s bleaching. It's hairdressing's game is totally up. Like, I would not be able to get this blonde before Olaplex. It just wouldn't have happened. I'd lift like the colour of Vulpix behind me, and that'd be it. Maybe a little bit more canary yellow, but that's literally it. So the picture on the screen is the actual hair fibre before and with the use of Olaplex. So it's effectively sort of repairing and filling back in all the breakage and the damage, and you can actually see the bond that they've made. That effectively, um, the best way to describe it is simplifying it totally. So it's actually a disulfide bond in the hair, and they've sort of come up with something that's effectively going to do the same thing. So if you imagine in each strand of hair, it's a ladder, and as the ladder gets weaker and broken, the rungs start to wobble and break, and then they drop out. And then eventually you've almost got like a ladder that way, but only two pieces as opposed to five. So would you want to walk up it? No, because it's now like rocking side to side, and that's when it gets all unstable and snaps off. So what they've effectively done is design something that is now going to rebuild those layers to keep the hair strong. So that's the science side behind why Olaplex works, I guess, and it's why the Kardashians are using it and everyone's using it, and it's not even a fad, it's like a revolution, I guess, in hairdressing. It's like pushed hairdressing to a whole new level. With the use of this, things like toners on blondes stick around longer because healthy hair holds colour better. And also in a colour service, what it's going to do is protect the hair whilst lifting or colouring, and if there's time left over, it's going to also start to rebuild hair. All the at home maintenance or as a standalone treatment is just going to obviously rebuild. So ideally, if you're having it in your colour in the salon and then going home and using maintenance at home, or at least doing masks or whatever treatments in the salon, you're definitely going to notice an overall better condition of your hair. So if you're someone who colours or bleaches it, highly recommend. To be honest, I wouldn't lift a client these days without it in colour. Fair enough, colour's not too bad. Lifting, definitely want it in there, especially if you're doing a lot of lifting or you're doing a colour correction. It needs to sort of be in there. So yeah, so that sort of describes the sort of science behind it. But also in terms of the styling products, it's pretty good because most of the actual products all have heat protector in there, up to, oh god, now you're testing me. I think it's 225 degrees. I'm fairly sure it goes pretty damn hot. Like, unless you're literally nuking your straighteners, it's gonna cover you from like most heats. Far more than most people. When I say to them, do you use heat protector? And they even tell me, most people go no, but when they do, they go yeah. I'm like, how hot does your heat protector to go to? And like, I don't know. What do you have your straighteners on? Hottest setting. Yeah, so if your heat protector's only going to 180 and you're blasting your hair with 220, it ain't really heat protecting it. So yeah, so it's mainly going to help with colours, but it also helps with perms and relaxers and keratin treatments, as well as, like I say, that'll also help with environmental things, especially heat protector. There's a lot of UV sort of filters in there as well. Yeah, and also if you someone who's like yanking your hair wet, you're gonna have issues. So it's gonna help with stuff like that. Um, and then, like I said, just it's got a lot of UV protectants, but it's also going to help in cold weather climates as well. And then, like I say, this is sort of like what we've just gone through about actually rebuilding hair bonds. So it's not a, don't get me wrong, it is a very good product for a cosmetic appearance because it definitely comes across smoother and you have less frizz and flyaways and stuff. So it's definitely like, if you go into, I know this sounds really bad, forgive me for my snobbery in hairdressing, it's almost like going to Boots and getting a pound shampoo, and that's like your little, I don't know, Nissan Micra. Not to hate on Nissan Micra. And Olaplex is almost like your Ferrari or your Porsche. So you're always going to notice a massive difference. But yeah, so it is actually not just going to be cosmetic, it is actually going to start to rebuild the hair structure. And I reckon most places that like there's a lot of online companies selling it now, and it does pee me off because it should be about supporting small companies, but it is what it is. But the general retail price used to be £32, and now it's about 26 because they found a cheaper way of I think like suppliers or something that actually make it for them. The first batch was actually made in a garage with the formula that the scientists come up with as well. And it's very clever in the fact that rather than put it directly into the bleach, they've said it can go in all bleaches. So a very clever sales thing with how the all salons can sort of use it without really cheating on their brand. Obviously, Schwarzkopf, Weller, they've all come up with their own sort of Plex, but Olaplex was the first one. And if I'm honest, I've tried quite a few, and for me, it will always be Olaplex until something bigger and better finally comes out. But at the minute, no one's beat them, to be honest. Just as a key point for anyone who is vegetarian, vegan, or cruelty free, Olaplex is very good. They're vegan and they're cruelty free. Nioxin is owned by Weller, which is owned by, it was Procter and Gamble. Whether it still is, I don't know. They keep getting bought out. they are definitely not cruelty free. So that's just a key point there. Nioxin's very much, I would class as almost going to medical territory though. So for me, I don't eat meat, but I do sort of overlook it a little bit from the medical perspective. But I wouldn't go and put makeup on my face that has been tested these days. Some like vanity, like how far do you go? I mean, in theory, hair loss is a little bit of vanity as well, but it's a bit of an area where if a woman or a man or whoever's losing all their hair, it's not very nice, to be honest, especially if it's for health reasons as well. Um, so yeah, so to go through what the products actually do, because a lot of people get confused by these as well. Their number system is quite blurry on the screen, but their number system actually works now from 0 to 8, and people don't understand what their numbers mean, but it is pretty simple, to be honest. So number 0 is actually a newer one. And this is effectively the same as number 1. So 1 and 2 are in salon use only. If ever you see the little miniatures on eBay or Amazon, they don't exist. They're not a thing. They're fake. They literally do not do 1 and 2 for at home use. I've seen the weirdest number 1 little sachet sizes or little bottles. I have no idea who's making them, but guarantee it isn't Olaplex. Please do not use it on your scalp, because if you're already having issues, you'll definitely have more. So yeah, so number 0 is effectively number 1 in the salon. So number 1 in the salon would go into, say, the colour or the bleach or the perm or the relaxer, or it can be used standalone as part of a treatment. And then number 2, which is the same as number 3 in a minute, is a slightly stronger version, and then goes on after. Oh, got a jump then. Hello, thank you for subscribing. Yeah, very nice, 3 months, fair play. We should have like a little celebration. Yeah, so basically, number 2 is effectively number 3 for at home use. So at home you'd be using 0 and 3. In the salon we're using 1 and 2. So effectively it's just a weaker version. So number 0 would work by going on your hair. I can't remember if it's damp or dry. I usually put mine on dry, to be honest, and comb it through. Give it about 10 minutes and then put your number 3 on. Or you can just use number 3 on its own. I will show you that one in a second. Just to point out as well, you can see how many sort of reviews they're getting. There's like 1,879 reviews just on number 0, and it's one of the newer products in the range, so they get crazy amount of people buying it. And then that's only just from their reviews. That's not even reviews across the board. So to go to number 3, which is the Perfector, which I'm on about. This is the one that you can technically use standalone or use it in conjunction with 0. So this, people think it's a hair mask. It's not a hair mask. It is actually a bond builder. So if you're using it like a mask, you're going to have problems. So number 0, I would only say get number 0 if your hair is really breaking. If it's not really breaking, I probably wouldn't bother, because if you're going to a salon getting it coloured, you're already getting the 1 and 2 already. Or go and have your 1 and 2 probably in a salon once in a blue moon or something. I did like it because I've got quite a lot of breakage, but have I just say had like normal tint, it's not really going to be broken enough to justify it. So but number 3, definitely number 3 is pretty amazing. You can sleep in number 3. They reckon minimum 10 minutes to actually get it to work, but they reckon the optimum time is actually an hour and a half, but there's no reason you couldn't sleep in it, to be honest. So how to use number 3, you would damp the hair down and towel dry it off, so you only want it a little bit wet. 10p, well, I'd probably say, depending on how much hair you've got, either a 10p piece the size of the lid or slightly less. Someone, if you've got hair like my length at the minute, then obviously probably going to need a bit more. Do not slather it on like a conditioner and go to town. It's very expensive. You're wasting the product and it will only absorb so much in. So please get your money's worth. It should effectively feel once it's on, if you've used it correctly, a little bit like you've put just a little bit too much styling product in your hair. And because it's only gone on like that, you can effectively plait your hair if you've got quite a lot of it and sleep in it. And by the time you wake up in the morning, it actually have dried as just a little bit softer and you won't actually know you've got anything in. If it looks like you've slathered it in mask or like conditioner, you've used far too much, you've used it wrong, and you're just wasting your money. So please, please, please use it correctly and keep it in the tub and get an extra couple of uses out. They reckon it lasts about 10 uses depending on how much hair you've got, but if I'm honest, I've had a bottle that's lasted most of the year and I've had loads of uses out of it. And then I've had other times where when my hair's got a bit longer and a bit more dry and knackered, I've sort of put it on for 10 minutes and then reapplied a layer over it and then left it. If you do that, as long as the product's absorbed in and you put another layer on, it's fine. But to just soak it all in one go, it's probably not actually going to really do anything. Like I say, you're just wasting money. Um, so yeah, same as Nioxin, make sure you're getting it from a reputable source. Ideally, support your local hairdressers if you can. You can now buy it directly from Olaplex, which you never used to be able to do. Once you've put that on, what you're going to actually do is after, when you're ready to get it out, I would definitely recommend 2 shampoos and then 1 conditioner or mask, depending on which one you're going for in your routine. I like to do mine actually in the bath, so I usually tend to do it on my cleaning day. So what I do, if I'm using Naught, we'll do it as I'm putting Naught on. I'll put Naught on for 10 minutes, go off, do a bit more cleaning, come back, put my number 3 on, do a bit more cleaning. Then eventually I'm probably going to rinse it off, do 2 shampoos probably over the bath. And then I go and sit actually in the bath with my mask on at the very end and then give myself like a proper treat with it, to make sure I'm doing everything. And then I would follow up with the styling products after. You can do whatever you absolutely want to do. It's totally up to you. That's just how I try to incorporate in my routine because I'm pretty busy, but I still want to look after my hair, and that's how I work it into my routine. And treat it like a sort of prescription. So if your hair's really knackered, you probably want to be doing that once a week. If it's not too bad, twice a week, every other week, sorry. And then go to almost like monthly. You should always still sort of be using it every once in a blue moon, even if it's only once every 3 or 6 months. Um, so you can sort of, once you've got your hair to a better condition, you can start to back off it a little bit. Um, if obviously it's already quite good condition, you're totally fine not to worry about backing off. I'm really sorry, I'm going to have a drink. I've literally not even come up for air for an hour. Sorry. So that sort of describes what number 3 is actually doing, so people aren't using it wrong. That and number 0 are probably going to rebuild the hair the most, but not everyone actually needs all that. It very much depends, like I say, on who you are. I'm doing a lot of lifting, a lot of damage, and yeah, like I say, I really do need it. Number 4 shampoo and number 5 conditioner. To be honest, I'm absolutely in love with all of Olaplex. The only thing I'm not so in love with is the oil. I think there's a very niche market for that. But yeah, so number 4 is the actual shampoo. Not much to be said about it. It's very foamy, and you probably, same again, only need like a 10p piece each time. Once again, this usually is about £26 if you're buying it from a reputable source, ideally. And although it looks quite big probably on the screen, it really isn't. This is actually the size of it. I've got mine here. And you only need a 10p piece, and it looks tiny and it looks like extortion for how much it is. But honestly, you'll have one of those bottles, if you're using it correctly, anywhere from probably averaging 9 months, because some people might have a lot more hair, but some people might have a lot less. I'm definitely going through it quicker since I've had my extensions put in, but usually I'm mid-length hair on mine, which is probably mid-length, medium sort of density hair. I reckon one would probably last me nearly a year, to be honest. And then the conditioner's the exact same size. So let's show you the conditioner. So conditioner's 5. Conditioner, like I say, is the same. the best way I can describe when you use the conditioner for the first time is like a hot knife going through butter after. Like as you rinse your hair off, you can actually feel the water just roll off it. It's incredible. Absolutely in love with this product. Uh, this is probably the product I would say if you're using Nioxin and you need something for your ends. This is the I would preference this over Nioxin's conditioning mask, to be honest. Um, if you're sort of combining a lot of olaplex with Nioxin mixed with, like, I don't know, your diet and supplements, you can't really go far wrong. If you're still having lots of problems, it's either major health issues or probably genetics or hormone problems. You can't really go far wrong, but like I say, it's still probably going to overall improve what you've got going on. And then if we go carry on in number order because it's easier, we're now going to go to number 6, which is a smoothing product. This is my favourite product ever. Literally, my salon, I cry sometimes, they make me go through. This, literally, we run out of all of the time because it goes on every client's head. There's not a single person on this planet this product does not suit. To be honest, none of Olaplex really, other than the oil. Literally, I could put it on any hair type. It's incredible. This is the one that's got all like the heat protector into like 225, 230 or something stupid. Um, it is going to help with keeping your hair frizz free, fly away free. It's perfect on holiday if you're someone who has a lot of humidity in your hair. So if, like me, you go out in hot, humid weather and you look like you're from the 80s, like minutes later, definitely an amazing product. Um, I generally only use like a P or two P size amounts. It's like you literally need none of it. Same again, this is all the products. There's £26. They keep it pretty much like an easy number 1, number 2, number 3, and we're all £26. Um, this is definitely going to last you a year. Honestly, as long as you're using these products correctly, you should be more than okay. And then the oil, I don't hate it, I don't love it. It depends very much on the client that I'm doing it on. So if you're someone who has extensions such as tape-ins and things like that, mid-lengths and ends, and just a little bit of your natural hair, obviously don't get it near bonds. It's pretty incredible. It's very light, but if you're someone who suffers with quite dry skin on your hands, you put it into your hands, and by the time you've got it to your hair, it's almost sucks in on your skin on your hands, so you can't even get it onto the hair. Um, don't dislike it. It is good for the right person. If you can get it as part of a set, if it's on offer, then obviously try it. But I do think there's better oils on the market. I mean, for me, I'll always be a Paul Mitchell Awapui oil snob. That's also a cruelty-free brand as well. The only thing is their oil isn't vegan because it uses keratin fibres from sheep wool. So, me personally, I think the sheep have got to be sheared anyway. So, is it really all that bad? But it depends on how religious you are with it, I guess. So yeah, so the oil sort of self-explanatory. You could use it a little bit wet and tiny bit dry, I guess. Very tiny amounts of this, like literally like a drop or two, is totally it. It's very beautiful packaging, all of it really, but yeah, I'd highly recommend it for people who've got extensions. But like I say, make sure you're keeping it away from that bond area. All of Olaplex, as far as I'm aware, the shampoo and conditioner, I've been using it on my extensions and I haven't even had one fall out. So, probably wouldn't be using Nioxin with extensions, but Olaplex, yeah, as long as you're not putting slathering conditioner on your bonds and stuff. Like, obviously, that area has to be left like oil and slippy product free. So yeah, so that sort of goes through. Oh, and the new one, I've totally forgotten. I've even got it right in front of me. I've got little Spyro stud on it. So this is a pump patch and this is a mask. So this is a latest edition. So the reviews on there are only like 426, but that's literally only come out just after we come back from lockdown. This lockdown. Um, I do really like it, but I don't necessarily think everyone needs it. This is going to be someone like me who's got a lot of bleach and breakage again. Um, to be honest, for how long it'll probably last compared to the conditioner. I feel like they've done such a good job on the conditioner. Me personally, I'd go for the conditioner and then eventually maybe add the mask in at a later date, because if you're a total newbie, you're going to be so blown away by the conditioner anyway. Because their conditioner is still far superior to any mask you've probably already used. So to use this on top, just like you won't notice the real like difference, I guess. The only other person I'd probably say to use it on is super fine hair, where they feel like the olaplex conditioner is maybe a bit heavy. Um, but yeah, same thing again, because it's mainly mid lengths and ends for most conditioners. Please don't use them on your scalp because they're just gonna make your hair greasy quicker. Yeah, it is pretty good stuff. So, like I said, the only product really I'm not majorly in love with is the oil, but I do use it a hell of a lot on my extensions and I really like it. But on my actual natural hair, not so much. So I think it very much depends on hair type. Um, but yeah, so that sort of covers a little bit about Olaplex and Nioxin, because I did want to clear up the difference between the two because they're really not the same thing. Um, so if you are only mainly suffering from breakage, or you just want to overall improve the condition of your hair, because you don't have to necessarily have a lot of breakage to enjoy Olaplex, um, then definitely look at Olaplex. If you find hair loss is more an issue, but like I say, actual hair loss, not hair you think you're losing, then obviously by all means go on Nioxin. Nioxin's always going to help as well with people who suffer a lot with like um dry scalps, or like a lot of skin shedding for like dandruff and even oh god, psoriasis and stuff like that. There is a lot of other products in the range that I could go into if anyone does suffer with scalps like that. But we could be here all day going through all that sort of stuff as well. I just mainly wanted to give guys an idea from more of a targeted perspective on bell disease and how it affects your hair, I guess. So yeah, so does anyone have any questions? If anyone is in the chat, anything hair related? Because I feel like I've probably gone through quite a lot quite quickly. If anyone does have a question about their own hair, obviously feel free. If anyone does watch this stream at a later date as well, even if it's like a couple of months down the line, even on YouTube or anything, my Instagram handle is in the thing, saying RT6Sam. You can always drop me a message on Instagram. I always reply. Thank you, Poppy. This is my chair that's designed to stop my back from breaking. It's got my nice bar support in it and everything. So yeah, so it, not that I'm sitting in it properly like I should be. You can understand why all my body's twisted, can't you? But yeah, I finally sorted all my chair out after all the issue. Speaking of my chair, I really don't highly recommend overclockers or Noble chairs. Are actually nightmare. In the end, I've give up and gone to Secret Labs. So honestly, don't write overclockers at all. Not to talk trash about them, but I'm gonna talk trash about them. There's one guy there with a brain. That is about it. And I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but yeah. I've noticed a few more people have dropped in because we're roughly usually around my usual time. I did obviously just want to go for all that hair loss sort of stuff for people, or like I say, the hair breakage, what have you, for people. But if anyone now wants to start chatting to me about all the dramas that have unfolded on my story and stuff like that, then you're obviously more than welcome to as well. Or if you want to ask me, I don't know, game questions or anything like that, IBD questions, that sort of stuff, you're more than welcome to. Make the most of having me on my own for a little bit, because usually it's always me interviewing someone. So, because I'll chat for England, to be fair. Anyone who knows me knows that I should probably shut up, to be honest. Sorry, just taking that as a drink break again. So, very informative and well presented, thank you. It's because I stole it from direct from the Nioxin website. I thought I would make a PowerPoint. But then when I saw the quality of the content, because they've really all salon sort of providers, because of COVID, have all really upped their game on. I'm not a thief. It's just that they've all upped their game on digital sort of education and stuff. Like, a lot of industries have had to adapt, and because it's now really quite informative and stuff, um, it's better to just sort of run through it, because they're gonna have made it better. I'm only gonna sort of repeat what they've sort of taught me over the years, I guess. Um, but yeah, so it'll cover a lot. For it doesn't matter who or what you are. At some point, you probably had hair problems. I mean, my dad used Nioxin for, I reckon I was about 21 when my dad started using it. I reckon my dad's been on Nioxin 9 years, and it has slowed it down, especially on his crown area. And I've been using Nioxin probably about 2 years now, when my anemia got quite bad. I'm pretty lucky that mine's mainly just in my fringe area, but um, this is the worst it's been for a while. But I have had a lot of stress, and then obviously, like I say, having Crohn's and that for obvious reasons, not getting the right vitamins and stuff. But the tapes are thankfully hiding mine quite a bit as well. So that's other things that you can obviously look into, because mine's only really around my fringe area. The only thing I would say, if you do consider extensions, please, please, please make sure the hair can take it, because it's super thin, fine hair. And if you put a tape or anything heavy clinging on there, it's gonna snap the hair further. So obviously make sure you're using a salon that does know that your hair is strong enough to take it. Um, yeah, definitely. It does help speed up the rate it can grow at. Sorry, I've over the years, I think a lot of people who are getting married and stuff use it as well. It does make your hair feel a lot cleaner for longer, so you can almost go an extra day before washing if you really want to as well. Um, I do really like Nioxin products, to be honest. Um, but yeah. Um, Paul, while you're here and we're on the subject, did you want me to talk about what you sent me a message about with my soliciting? Because apparently I solicit medical professionals these days. I've never heard such rubbish in my entire life. So, but I think most people who have stopped by have probably seen the story, but I shared a video last week of Joe talking about when his GP fingered him. And I've just took a clip it because it was pretty funny, and I thought uh, wasn't a genuine suggestion, very amusing though. I mean, no, we could go through now about what do they do in workplaces? Is it harassment? That's it, harassment in the workplace. Apparently, I need to go on a course like that. Harassment on Instagram. I'm really sorry. I'm not sure what that says. I only speak English, unfortunately. If anyone can translate, then please do. Um, but yeah, so basically, cut a long story short, shared this video, and then I call him Siddy. The guy who made the medical PowerPoint presentation, absolutely fantastic guy. Um, dropped me a message and said on more than one occasion, and I've basically gone giving or receiving, and he says at the minute just receiving, but at some point I will probably have to be giving as well, and because I'm going to be interning soon. And I thought it was hilarious to go and screenshot it and put on my story and say any volunteers for Siddy, and then in brackets I put some about for educational purposes only, with like a wink or something. And I'm not sure if it was Instagram algorithm or whether it was someone being a bit offended that I won't repeat the words I used. It was the A word, and probing, I think, was the word I used. I can't actually remember what I used, but it was along those lines. And woke up the following morning to be told I'd had a community violation post and it had been taken down. And when I like looked at it and posted it. It wasn't even just like you've used rude language, which I thought was what it was gonna be. It was the fact that it's come up saying I'm trying to solicit people. So effectively, I'm pimping out Indian medical professionals apparently these days. So that's what the joke is there. If anyone didn't see it, um, I'm fairly sure it just made people laugh more that I've been accused of soliciting more than I guess exploiting more than anything. And my mom is the most prudish woman ever, and even she thought it was hilarious. So I'm like, I don't really know what to say to this, but okay, it's definitely interested me. And as an update which I haven't actually shared about, I did get asked yesterday if I would consider doing a, oh, what was it now? Like a little questionnaire thing, survey, saying, oh, you've been selected to do this survey. And then when I clicked on it, it was saying about effectively my post violation and whether I felt it was fair and did it make me feel bad. And I was like, well, no, I don't think I did anything wrong. And two, I mean, I feel a little bit bad because I feel like I've done something naughty, but at the same time, no, I don't feel bad because I don't actually think I have done anything wrong. um, so some people put up with their health conditions with positive thinking, yoga, Pilates, healthy eating, and some of us just think it's funny to have a bit of dark humour and, yeah, like to take the pee and make rude jokes about it, and that's the way some of us cope and we find it funny. So I don't really know what the issue is with that because I don't think I'm the only one. And the annoying thing is, I'd put um does anyone not like the dark humour before my post even got told off. So someone had the opportunity to put, no, I don't like your dark humour, please stop, and they didn't. So like, I don't know. Right. Um, is there anything anyone else wants to go through? Um, or ask or anything like that at all while I'm here? Because I've covered quite a lot actually today, and I don't want to bore everyone to death, and I'm rattling quite a lot. If anyone wants to add anything in, feel free. Anyone? Yes? No? Okay then. Everyone had their jobs yet? I've had my first one last weekend. Um, I don't know how anyone else is doing. Um, how soon have you? I'm assuming you've had yours. Yeah, I had a Pfizer. Yeah. What did you have? Same. How did you get on with it? Any side effects? My main worry was that I'd get a flare, to be honest, because I think a few people on some of the forums have been saying they've had flares, like little minor flares. I was very lucky. I was just really tired, and I had a really painful dead arm. But when I say painful, I mean like when I moved it, it was almost like similar to a trapped nerve, and I was like a little old man because about 8 o'clock for about 2, 3 nights. About 8 o'clock, I'd not long finished my dinner. I'd be watching a bit of TV, and I just like, and I'd literally wake up and sleep, sat like that, literally upright with my head just hanging down. Um, my parents said they had flu symptoms on both, but they said the second they found was actually better, which is odd because most people I've spoken to said the first one wasn't as bad as their second. Most people have said the seconds are worse, but my parents said opposite. I had no flu symptoms. I didn't even have a headache. I was literally just exhausted. No, they had Pfizer as well. Round by me, where I work, most of those people had Astra. And then back by where I live, they all seem to have Pfizer. So I don't know if it's depending on area, the way it's been distributed. They've just sort of sent one lot or the other. But yeah, most of my clients and team have all had Astra, and I think a lot of them, their symptoms have been worse. But I don't know if my body's just a bit knackered and it's just sort of took it and just gone, yeah, we'll accept it. Whereas most people's bodies are probably going, what the hell's going on? How dare you enter? Mine's just going, oh fuck it, it's my body's knackered anyway. Just get on with it. um, Interestingly, I was just joking with a pharmacist because she was telling me about, don't you think it's probably best you get your yearly paid prescriptions rather than doing it as you're doing? And I was like, well, I was hoping they were going to drop my tablets down, not up. My body is currently, I just said to her, trying to compete to see how many hospital departments it can go under, because they've now told me, I might have told you guys on my story on one of my previous streams that because I've obviously didn't stream because of getting tonsillitis, my jaw actually locked and it hasn't actually unlocked. So I haven't been able to open my mouth fully in about 3.5 weeks now. And I've got some reason. The main reason I'm streaming a bit earlier is They've given me some diazepam to start taking tonight to see if it'll unlock my jaw and ease the muscle off a little bit, maybe. So I thought I'd stream a bit earlier because I don't think you're all going to want me a bit monged on these muscle relaxants. So um, they've told me in 2 weeks if it's still there, I've got to go and have another checkup, and if not, I'm going to have to go under ear, nose, and throat. So I'm going to be under gastro, what's it called? Rheumatology, gynecology, and ears, nose, and throat. So you've got to have a bit of an exciting life, ain't you, really? Because I've started to think, am I just imagining these scenarios? Am I just like the one that's always up the doctors going, oh, I've just had I don't know, I had a little bit of a murmur, or my sugar's low, can you see me? But I don't think you can sort of make up when your jaw won't open because it's just locked and it keeps cracking and clicking. um, so yeah, so if anyone can beat 4 departments, please let me know, especially because I'm not even 30 yet. Falling apart already. Spares and repairs. Maybe if we put a load of bodies together, we can make one decent one, apart from all our intestines are a bit knackered. We could probably cut bits of each other's intestines, I guess. It'd be a bit creepy though, wouldn't it? Sort of like what a horror movie's made of. You're only with 2 departments. Oh, bloody hell. Gastro and what else? I've also been under heart and lung when I was 22 as well. I had heart surgery. Part-timer, I know, yeah. What? Come on, get cracking. Urology? What's that? Am I being stupid? What's urology? Is that urine? I don't know. Probably asking a stupid question there, ain't I? You're going to tell me and I'm going to feel like an idiot. Do they have any medical professionals that I can exploit though? That's a question. That's one thing, being under 4 departments, I'm sure I can find someone. Yeah, I don't know. My humour, different level really. Right, guys. Oh, okay. So, okay, yeah. So, not the place you want to be going to, then I'm guessing. So, we could crack some jokes about that if you want. see if Siddy's willing to assist you in that area, maybe. No, I can't. I'll get in trouble. I'll get banned off Twitch and stuff as well as Instagram at this rate. Oh, I don't know. Right. So, a bit slow going at the minute. Does anyone want to ask anything else or not? Yeah, I can imagine a colonoscopy would be preferred. Camera to have. You haven't got to have a camera as well, have you? Because I imagine that's going in a very narrow area if you have got to have a camera. I'm almost internally cringing for you. That. So okay. So to clarify, you've had a camera front because oh I don't know how you did it. Was you awake for it, or was you asleep, or what? Because surely that is probably one of the most painful cameras. No, did you at least get any pain relief? Cringing for you, and I don't even have one. Oh God, I feel so sorry for you. Do you at least get to watch the camera? Because I do want to know what it's like inside. I think if it was me, but like, especially when it's your intestines, you're like, oh, they're clean. It's always nice to be a bit nosy, isn't it? Yeah. I know. Whenever you've watched, yeah, you did watch it. I bet that's quite. I'm curious now as to. I thought, no, I'm not going to do what Joe gets me to do. I'm sort of curious, really, to what it would actually be. Yeah, like I'm with your like I don't know, with your intestines, you sort of have a rough idea what it's probably going to look like, although not quite. Whereas with that, I just like wouldn't even know where to start, I guess. Um, if it makes you feel any better, I was under gyno. Well, was meant to be under gyno. They started some of the diagnosis off endometriosis. I think that's quite popular, really. And the initial one is like an ultrasound scan, like they would do for pregnant women. But then this weird long wand attachment that obviously it has to go up, and then they'll move it round to get into your ovaries. So it's obviously going off and round off to the side, and then back, and then round off to the side, and then they'll push it towards the back to almost start to look towards, obviously not your back passage, but more towards that angle. Um, and that was interesting, although you don't get to see that. They don't show you the camera, which to be honest, I'd almost want to be like, mate, can I have a look? I'm curious. It's my body. So um but yeah, so I do think technology is amazing, and it's pretty incredible where they can get cameras these days. um what do you mean no Twitch stream then? Oh, over there. I wondered what you want about then. I mean, definitely think I'd get banned for that then. Definitely think I'd get banned. I mean, we could try posting a colonoscopy and see what someone does. That'd be quite interesting, actually, to see if you could post colonoscopy footage. Surely you could. I'm not saying you could. You wouldn't be able to probably video, like show the video of the bit where it's entering, because that would definitely be classed as nudity. But I wonder if once it's in the actual footage on the screen, whether you would be allowed. Surely you'd be allowed to show that, because Mr. Crohn's and Colitis gets done quite a lot for graphic content, and it really pisses me off because you know full well that it's people that are like healthy. I don't know what you class as healthy, but you know it's people who don't have IBD that are reporting usually. I honestly think if mine got reported the other day, it was probably someone who didn't have IBD, because I don't really. Most people who've been to the doctors who've had a finger in their bum would say, I've had a finger in my bum, or I've been to the doctors and he's put a, like, do you know, you don't go, oh, I've had a rectal exam. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that people don't say it, but you are more likely to say, doctors put a finger in my bum. So I honestly think that the people who are offended by it are people who probably never had to even be put in a situation to have a finger in their bum. Um, but that's probably just my opinion. I don't know, but yeah, I tend to find that the people who usually are the most offended are usually the ones that don't understand, because the ones that have had it happen have to see the funny side of it. They're missing out. Gonna give your doctor eye contact, staring at like, yeah, I'm enjoying this. This is happening. Um, it goes, oh no, it's all right. Starts taking out. No, leave it in there a bit longer. It's fine. um, yeah. So I don't know. Like I say, I think at the end of the day, if you've got a health issue, you should be allowed to at least see the funny side of it without people. I don't mind people being a bit more sensitive if they've got the health issue, but people that don't, I'm almost like, but out, you don't understand. It's almost like, I don't know, like, I think within reason, a lot of causes everyone's can sort of get behind and back, I guess. And like, I'm definitely not racist and I don't get people that are, I guess. But at the same time, just because I'm not racist doesn't mean that I can make out I understand that what someone has had to go through, if that makes sense. So just because I'm not racist doesn't mean that I understand what someone's had to go through either, and I wouldn't want to even pretend like I have. I think it's very much the same thing with any health condition. Like, um, I don't have certain health issues. I wouldn't want to make out as though I understand. I try to sympathise, and that's it. And I think people get a bit threatened by what they don't know sometimes. So yeah, so things like bags and stuff to get deemed as like horrific graphic content, but unfortunately for people like me, it might be my future. So I sort of want to know what to maybe expect, or I don't know. I just think the science is quite interesting, isn't it? Really, it's quite nice to sort of. I think it's really nice that people are willing to go, yeah, I have a bag, this is what it looks like, this is how to clean it, this is how to take it off, this is what the contents looks like. I'm really curious in general, but especially with stuff like that, and I'm really grateful that someone's willing to open their bag and be like not brave enough, but like open enough, I guess. Um, but yeah, so but that's a topic in itself. But I'm not easily offended with stuff like that, to be honest. Um, does anyone want to have a chat about anything else? Yeah, that's important to me because don't get me wrong, I do like to go and have a look at like how can I make my symptoms as best as I probably can, because obviously if there's certain things I might be doing that are aggravating it, obviously I'm probably going to go out my way to try and ease it. But I think most people with IBD can agree that it comes a point where you feel almost like you have already made so many sacrifices, especially more at certain times than others, especially when you're like flaring or coming out of a flare and you're too ill to even leave the bathroom, let alone see friends, and you have to let them down and miss out on really nice social events. I know obviously COVID's hindered that, but just in general. And sometimes it's like people think that you're selective about what events you go to and what you don't, and you spend a lot of your time feeling a bit ill and a bit shit. And sometimes I don't want to be told like, don't worry, just stay positive. Here, go and have some, like, I don't know, lettuce leaf and put it on your bum and you'll be fine. I don't always want to be told that. Sometimes I just want someone to go, oh, but have you ever had a finger in your bum? Have you ever had a tube down your throat? And yeah, that thing that straps your mouth open looks like something you'd have in Ann Summers or whatever. And sometimes I just want to, like, I don't know, think I'm gonna have a beer. It's with the gods. If I crap myself after it happens, and yeah, I'm just gonna have certain days where I just think, sod it. I'm gonna do what makes me happy, because you're almost at times living half a life, and that's depressing enough as it is, I guess. So I don't see why I should be punished for occasionally wanting to enjoy myself. It's almost like we've all got to be dead serious about it, and like I say, do all these like things and jump through hoops. And I mean, I don't know about yourself because obviously I'm still fairly new to IBD, but it feels like sometimes it don't matter how many hoops you jump through. You could have 10 hoops to jump through all 10 and still end up being bad. So you might as well have jumped through 8 of them and then been a little bit naughty. And then if you're bad, you're bad. But at least you've enjoyed yourself a little bit along the way. Um, but then I guess that's just my opinion. But and like I say, it's a very limited opinion because it's something that I've only really sort of I don't know, started to get. Yeah, 22 years. It's what, out of curiosity, how much has yours progressed, would you say? Would you say it's always stayed pretty much the same, or in them 20 years, 22 years, sorry, have you found that it slowly got a little bit more, I don't know, worse, or have you found, because obviously I do think you get used to managing it better, but that aside, do you think the illness has got worse? Oh, okay, that's fair, yeah. You'll have to come on the stream and you can tell us all about it. Have a little chat and tell everyone about it. I would say mine started to show about the age of 23, but unfortunately, it's took like a month after my 28th to finally get my diagnosis. Because, like many, unfortunately, because it's been a bit more mild, it was sort of always fobbed off as a bit of a IBS, and because of having anxiety. Like I say, it was sort of pigeonholed into that. Like I said last week, I do think, on the whole, I know I've got. I'd like to think, as far as mental health goes, I'm very aware of my mental health because I've lived with it from a younger age. So I am someone who knows when I'm struggling. But if something's not right, it's not right. Oh shit. Okay, so I'm assuming yours was quite severe then. Have you had to have like surgeries and bags and stuff like that? It's quite interesting actually how depending on. Oh, okay, yeah. So like a few people then really no surgery. That's good. What meds do you take? You've tried a few things, haven't you? I think whenever because I must admit, whenever you've joined a stream, you're always quite knowledgeable of like if someone says something like In fact, I need to, if you don't mind, I'm going to screenshot that message you sent me. I'll send it Joe about his colonoscopy. I keep meaning to do it and I forgot. Because I definitely think he needs a full colonoscopy, actually. I'm still baffled that they haven't given him a full colonoscopy, actually. Oh, good, that's good. Yeah, that comes up quite a bit, actually, doesn't it? I think that's quite a popular one. Um, they've said to me they're going to try and keep me treatment free for a little bit until I inevitably flare. And then they told me about um, initially they give me information on ISA, and then my blood work come back that I've never had. Oh God, what's it called? What is it? Kissing disease. Glandular fever. I've never ever had glandular fever, so they've told me I can't have ISA because of it. So they said they're going to have to find out what I can have because of never having it, and then they've just never got back to me. Um, so they've said at some point I probably will flare again, and then I'll go straight onto meds the minute I have another flare, apparently. So I just had steroids to try and get it. I'd probably say, stomach wise, I come off steroids back like Jan Feb time, and this is by far even after I come off them, I still wasn't right. I'll probably say this stomach wise is the best I've felt in ages. The only thing is, for the first time in definitely probably 2 years, that I've actually been eating like a dustbin. I've spent so long on like eating nothing and all safe food, and all of a sudden now I'm like, the risks I'm taking, at some point I'm definitely going to end up in trouble because of it. Definitely, because I'm walking such a fine line, but I don't know, like I say, because I like it's so nice to not have the pain and the rushing to the toilet. And I mean, I still get the odd sort of things, I think you always do, but it's just nice at the minute to feel somewhat normalish, I guess. Well, as normal as I'm ever going to feel. A lot of people can't take Aza, I don't think. But yeah, it's quite interesting to sort of learn about some of the meds actually. Oh dear me. Yeah, so like I say, if anyone does have any questions at any point, whether they watch at a later date or whenever, about anything really, games, hair loss, breakage, any problems like hair wise generally, even other stuff really, because obviously it's my job, um, or you want to just chat about your IBD or anything, obviously I've got my Insta handles and stuff on there. Pimp it. Oh yeah, if you want to be pimped out, I've got quite a good service going. I'm going to set up a Crohnies fans that start pimping people out on. So if you're interested in being pimped out, we'll see how much we can get for you in your colonoscopies. If you want to sell your colonoscopies on the black market, we'll see what we can do for you. So there's got to be someone out there willing to buy. If you want to sell, you know, your front camera you've had done, if you want to have a see if you can have a vlog of that, there's got to be someone out there somewhere probably willing to buy it. Even if you just put it out, like, I don't know, pay per watch, 50p a watch, or like, I don't know, it all adds up, don't it? £5 a watch, depending on graphic content, I guess. It could be quite interesting. I mean, I don't know if I'll get banned for saying stuff like that, but it is what it is. Worst case, move it over to Crohnies fans. I think you're allowed to say anything on there, I think. There'd be far worse content on there, I reckon. Ours will be quite mild compared. Right, I'm going to wrap this stream up anyway, because I've been going like nearly 2 hours in fairness. And I've got to obviously go and take me I would say my drugs, but I don't want people to get the wrong idea because they are prescription drugs. But yeah, I've got to try my new drugs. I'm hopefully going to get my jaw back on track, I hope. We shall see. So yeah, so thanks for watching. Thanks to anyone who stopped by, been and gone, stuff like that. Thank you so much for keeping the comments going as well, Paul. We've had a nice little chat. Obviously I'll be back next week. I'm hoping I'll have a guest next week as well. And hopefully all being well at some point when T's well enough, she'll be coming on the stream. I honestly do hope if she does end up watching the stream back or anything that she is okay and stuff, because bless her, she weren't having a very good time. And like I say at the start of the stream, it just proves actually the fact that IBD complications can hit at any time without any warning, I guess. Hopefully, even if I've helped just one person at some point with their hair as well, that's an extra benefit. And yeah, and I'll carry on with my dark humour despite what Instagram says, I guess. So yeah, so thank you for watching, and back on Monday night at 8 gaming, and next week on Wednesday again. It should be usual time, 8 o'clock for the stream. Right, thank you. See you later. Take care. Bye.